Every now and then, the gaming industry hits a plateau. We get comfortable with sequels, we get accustomed to specific formulas, and we start to accept good enough as great. But then something comes along that just raises the bar, or better, it just shatters it completely. 2025 was absolutely packed with massive releases and heavy hitters. But for me, the conversation starts and ends with one title, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. This isn't just my game of the year. This is a title that I genuinely believe is the new benchmark for the entire medium. So in this video, I'm listing the top 10 reasons why Expedition 33 is my game of the year for 2025. Let's dive in.
That's for your, if there's room.
There's always room.
Number 1, the storytelling. In an era dominated by reboots, predictable heroes' journeys, and excessive expedition dumps, Expedition 33 offers something undeniably fresh. It's rare to play a game in 2025 where you genuinely don't know what's going to happen in the next hour. The narrative is told in such a remarkable way, weaving mystery and subtle hope into a tapestry that feels unlike anything else in the RPG genre. It doesn't rely on the crutches of old fantasy tropes. It builds a narrative structure that respects your intelligence, pulling you into its central mystery immediately without feeling the need to explain everything right away. It feels brave. You can feel the confidence of the writers in every scene. They know they have you hooked, and they expertly feed you just enough to keep you desperate for the next story beat. It's a masterclass in narrative restraint and payoff.
We're already dead. Look around, look.
This is not a foregone conclusion. When one falls, we continue.
Number 2, the characters, and specifically the tragedy that binds them together. We need to talk about the premise, because in this world, these characters are living with a known absolute death sentence. This isn't a vague threat of, if we fail, the world ends. No. They know their number is up. The way each character approaches the expedition, knowing it is their final act, is heartbreakingly human and grounded. They have distinct personalities, yes, but it's also their coping mechanisms that make them feel so real. Some use humor as a shield, some hide behind stoicism, some are just openly angry at times at their own fate.
Oh, the mission!
But despite the looming shadow of inevitable death, watching how they manage to stick together, how they forge bonds in the fires of hopelessness for the sake of those who come after them, it really pulls at the heartstrings in a way few games ever achieve. You're not just watching them fight, you're watching them live their final days. Number 3 is the world itself. Expedition 33 is beautifully well crafted, almost to a fault. When we talk about graphics, we usually mean texture resolution, but this point is about artistic design. See, the level design here is otherworldly. It refuses to look like generic fantasy forests or those standard sci-fi corridors. It has a unique color palette, hues of deep melancholic blues, striking violet reds in the trees, the surreal lighting that makes almost every single frame look like a Renaissance painting brought to life. And it's dense. There's so much to do, but the world never feels cluttered just for the sake of content. It feels ancient, feels sad, and lived in. It beckons you to just stop moving your character and stare at the horizon, wondering about the history of these ruins. Number 4 is dedicated to the enemy variety and their complexity. Now, this is not a game where you find one overpowered strategy in hour 5 and mash that until the credits roll. The variety here is awesome, and there is a steep learning curve in the best way possible. There's so much to learn about them. Each enemy type has their distinct strengths, elemental affinities, and behavioral weaknesses and patterns that have a massive effect in combat. You have to respect your opponent. You have to learn their telltale animations. It forces you to engage with the biology and lore of the world just to survive a standard encounter. It keeps every fight feeling fresh, ensuring that the combat puzzle never gets stale. Number 5, the combat loop. This is where the game takes a genre standard and throws it into hyperdrive. It takes the conventional idea of turn-based combat and injects it with adrenaline. The camera movements are slick and aggressive, making it feel like an action movie. You're not just selecting a fireball or immolation in this case and waiting. You're inputting quick-time events to maximize skills and spells. You're actively parrying and dodging in real time during the enemy's turn. This is not gameplay you engage with mindlessly while listening to a podcast. If you start to relax, if you lose focus, even by a few frames to a split second, a battle that was completely in your favor can turn into a game over screen fast. It demands a flow state, blending strategic planning with twitch reactions. Number 6 is one of the most addictive progression systems I've ever encountered, the Pictos and Luminous systems. Here's the loop. You have tons of abilities called Pictos. You equip up to 4 at a time. After 4 complete battles with them equipped, you learn them permanently for the whole party. Now, once learned, they become what's called Luminous. Passive abilities you can equip that no longer take up a Picto slot. Now, there is an infinite number of Luminous slots you can unlock, so technically you can equip all the Luminous in the game if you grind enough. This gives you access to damage buffs and healing bonuses and automatic revives all at once. It's a system that respects your time and allows you to build truly broken, godlike characters if you put in the work. The only game I can think of that resembled a system similar to this was Final Fantasy IX. Number 7 is the musical score. Now, this is an absolute masterclass in audio design. And the most incredible part is that some of the great talent behind this score was found simply on SoundCloud. That goes to show that incredible artistry can be found in places you least expect. And you can hear it. You can tell that there was so much passion and love behind handcrafting the soundtrack. It isn't generic orchestral swelling. It's unique. It's deeply emotional. It drives the intensity of the combat and just roaming around the world perfectly. It's seriously one of the best scores that has ever come from the games industry, period. Number 8 is the art direction versus the engine. Now we're seeing a massive influx of games using Unreal 5 right now, and let's be brutally honest. Typically, you can tell a game uses the engine immediately because everything looks the same. And with Expedition 33, you just see a distinct difference. It shatters that mold. It overrides the engine's default look with the sheer artistic vision. It doesn't look like any tech demo I've ever seen. It looks like a moving painting. It proves that strong art direction will always be more important than just raw graphical fidelity. Number 9 is the pacing and cinematography. The storytelling hits you different here. You can tell so clearly that this team had a passionate, specific story they wanted to tell and convey, and they let nothing get in the way of that. There isn't a story from a game I've played in recent memory that has had an impact on me as much as this. From the writing and the perfect pacing to the cinematic camera movements, it's flawless. But looking closer, look at the eye movement on the characters as they convey their thoughts and their feelings, sometimes without even saying a word. The anxiety, the love, the fear. It's all in the micro expressions as the game progresses. It all comes together for an experience that is just so perfectly well told. And finally, number 10, the exploration philosophy. The game does a fantastic job of not holding your hand as you venture out. There are no giant yellow arrows or constant UI pop-ins telling you where the fun is hidden. If you're curious about an area, go explore it. You'll be surprised what you end up finding out. While the main critical path is a solid 30-ish hour experience, I spent an additional 40 hours just finding new areas, hidden bosses, secret powerful items, and hidden stories that give massive context to the world's history. It rewards you for being curious, making the world feel truly vast. Clear Obscure Expedition 33 has become my new benchmark for all-around game design. And remember, this didn't come from a massive AAA conglomerate. It came from a passionate ex-Ubisoft employee who bet on himself to make the game he wanted to play. He built an indie AA team that has sent shockwaves throughout the industry, touching the hearts of every gamer who wants to remember what makes this medium so special. Sven Vink of Larian Studios made one of the most prominent and memorable speeches in gaming history back in 2024 when he said,
"The Oracle told me that the Game of the Year 2025 was going to be made by a studio who found the formula to make it up here on stage. It's stupidly simple, but somehow it keeps on getting lost. Studio made their game because they wanted to make a game that they wanted to play themselves. They created it because it hadn't been created before. They didn't make it to increase market share. They didn't make it to serve as a brand. They didn't have to meet arbitrary sales targets or fear being laid off if they didn't meet those targets. And furthermore, the people in charge forbade them from cramming the game with anything whose only purpose was to increase revenue and didn't serve the game design. They didn't treat their developers like numbers on a spreadsheet. They didn't treat their players as users to exploit. And they didn't make decisions they knew were short-sighted in function of a bonus or politics. They knew that if you put the game and the team first, the revenue will follow.
This is the quote that should ring in the halls of every game development studio across the globe as a reminder of how to approach game development. Don't follow the footsteps of the AAA giants that continue to fail us over and over again. Instead, find the small teams or the solo developers whose passion is bigger than the game they're trying to make, bigger than the largest team with the biggest pool of money. Focus on those who know the shoes of the consumer and will continue to find the best gaming experiences that leave lasting marks like Expedition 33. That is why I love this game, and that is why it's my game of the year for 2025, and very likely my game of this decade.